Hi, my name is Katie Goins, and this is my before and after testimony. Before, I was broken, but after, I was held. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my personal walk with God. Ever since I was a little girl, I always went to church, and my parents taught me that all I had to do was ask Jesus into my heart and that He would come. I thought, how cool is it that all I had to do was pray for God to let my heart be saved, and it would. I didn't understand this until I was a little bit older. I'm going to tell you about one of the hardest trials I've ever had to face in my life, and what got me to the point I am today in my walk with God. My brother and I had always been best friends, and even through high school, we had our times, but we were still oddly close. He's 4 years older than me, so when I was a junior in high school, he was a sophomore in college. It was here I noticed that something was different in him. I couldn't figure out what, but I knew that I was losing my best friend. And so I prayed. And I prayed that God would just bring back my best friend. I couldn't see the grand design, but I knew that something big was going to happen. And so, when I got the call, I wasn't prepared for it at all. My mom and dad had gone down to Kentucky to go get John because he had gotten in some trouble. My parents said it would be okay and not to worry and to go over to my grandma's. I assumed that everything was fine and that he had gotten in a mishap somewhere, but I didn't understand the extent of the situation. It wasn't until I was at school a couple of days later and that my aunt came and got me from school, and she told me that my brother was on the front page of the paper and that he had been arrested. I couldn't figure out why God had done this to my family. Why was He breaking up the closest thing that I had? I had prayed, and so why wasn't He rewarding His faithful? I was so mad, and my heart was broken, and this is the lowest point of my life, when I was broken. It wasn't until later on that I saw my brother, and I realized that I had to be strong, and I had to be strong for my brother, but I couldn't be strong without God. And so I was so mad at Him for putting me in a situation, I wanted to quit, and I wanted to run from Him. But every time I tried, I couldn't help but think of 1 Corinthians 10:13. And it says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful, and He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will always provide a way out so you can endure it." I realized that this is just one of God's tests. He wanted me to be strong. He needed me to be strong, and I needed Him to be there for me. And He was. He carried me. And all the way up to the day of John's trial, He carried me. And when I got the phone call that day, I was ecstatic. I didn't know what to do with myself. My brother called with his voice and he said, "Katie, I'm done. I'm free, and I'm done with the situation." I didn't know whether to praise, to jump up and down, to scream, to cry. I didn't know what to do. I was so excited. But I knew then and there that God was always going to be with me. And I felt so guilty for ever doubting Him. Even today, I have my faults, but I know that every move and every step I take, that God is guiding it divinely. I don't know where life's going to take me, but I do know that if I can get through the hardest trial I've had so far in my life, that I can do anything with Jesus, and that He has saved me so that I may go to heaven with Him. I'm so blessed to have the family that I have now, and I hope that I always get to stay with them. And I know that the hope of heaven is something that I wouldn't want anyone to not experience. This whole situation was a really hard one, but I think the verse Romans 8:28 sums it up. And we know that all things God works for those with good who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. I don't know what my purpose is in life, and I'm still figuring it out. But I know with my family and God, I can get through it all. Before, I was broken, but after, I was held, and I'm still being held today.